So let's go ahead and go over your test that was from decimals. So looking at the first part, it says, be sure to show that your work so I can follow your track. Decimal sense, for each decimal, circle the value that is greater or determine if they are equal. So that's good. This one obviously is bigger because if you take a look over here, you know this is going to be the tenths, right? And that's going to be the hundredths. So when you compare this, you look at the tenths and the hundredths place, and obviously the 10th place in this situation is a 3, the 100th place or the 10th place in that is a 4. So 4 supersedes 3, right? Okay, so this one here for B, this is correct because do you see how in the 10th place is a 5, the 10th place is a 0, right? So the 10th place is smaller, so therefore that one's bigger. All right, this one we're looking at the 10th place is of 6, this one is of 0, so second one is bigger. So this one is a 10 by 10, right? So you know there are 100 boxes inside, correct? So if you're doing 0.35, you're looking at 35 out of 100 boxes. That's 35 out of 100 boxes, which means out of the 35 boxes, you're going to go ahead and color 35, right? So you did that right there, so that's good. Use a definition of a fraction to find 2/5 as a decimal. So when you do 2/5 as a decimal, one of the issues you're having is you're not answering the questions, the entire question. You understand me? 2/5, if you're going to go ahead and do this, it's basically 2 divided by 5, right? So if you're going to do that, put a dot, put a 0. 5 times 4 is 20. So your answer is 0.4. That's a decimal right there, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and color this. Now, this is 100 boxes, correct? You want to color 2/5 of it, right? So then if this is out of 100 boxes, 5 times what gives me 100? Because I need to figure out how many to color, which is the numerator. Well, hold on. 5 times what gives me 100? 20, right? So you time the 20 on top as well. So 2 times 20 is 40, right? Which means you color 40 boxes out of the 100. That makes sense because 0.4 is equal to 40 over 100. So that checks. Do you see that? So the color here is 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This is 40. Do you see that? That's what you should have done for that question, okay? So later on, after I'm done with this video, I want you to go back and I want you to go ahead and write this using a template for the test correction. Do you have an extra template for the test correction, or do you know what it looks like? Maybe we'll find out on Padlet. It's fine. Number 2, compare the rational numbers. So less than, greater, or equal. Again, looking at the tenths, 4 is bigger than 3, so that's correct. Over here, the tenths is 0. This is a tenth is 6, so it has to be bigger, right? This one, so this one is you're in the hundredths. 9 is in the hundredths, but in the thousands place, you have 2, whereas the thousands place here is 0. So that one is greater. So you were correct on that. D, order them from smallest to biggest. So this one, you're going to look at the spaces specifically. So let's start off with the tenths. Tenths is a 2, 0, 2, and 2, right? Clearly, the biggest number here is 2.5, right? So you're going from smallest to biggest. So small is going to be on the left side. Big is going to be on the right side. So 2.5 will be the biggest. Now, you know that these the numbers that I'm going to go ahead and underline right now, they have 2 in the tenths place, right? Now look at the hundredths place, 5. This one is a 0. This one is a 5. Now look at the thousands place. This one has a thousands of 2. This one has a 0. Do you see that? So the next one is 0.252. The next one is 0.250. And then the one after that is going to be 0.205, right? Because in the hundredth place, that's a 0, and the other one has a 5. and then the smallest one is 0.025. Do you see that? Okay, so that is your answer. Let's go on to number 3. Determine rational numbers that are located between two numbers. List two numbers that exist between each of the pairs below. If you want to list a number between, the keyword is between these two numbers, 0.32, there's a number in between them, 0.33, right? So go into the thousands place, right? Thousands place here is 0, this is 0. So what's a number that's between 320 and 330? Couldn't we do 335 or 325? Is that a number that's between there? Yeah. Or 326, that could be a number between there, right? Or 327, 328, 329. You just need to put the decimal in front of the 3. Or you can even go all the way to 321, right? Do you see that? So those are the numbers in between them. So for this one over here, for 3B, 1.045. So the key here is 1.045. There's a bunch of numbers in between them. 1.0456. Now the 456, do you see how this part right here is in the tens thousand? So if you had to pick a number between them, you could do 1.045. This is a 0, right? In the thousands place or 10,000s place, this is a 6. So you could do 1. So 1.0451, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Any of these numbers here will be between those two. Do you see that? So like two numbers could be 1.0455, that's one. 1.0459, that's another one. Because 59 then gets rounded into I'm sorry, hold on. You can't do past 6, just kidding, sorry. 5 is as far as you can go, okay? 4, 5. So 1.0451, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, up until 5, okay? Do you understand that though? Yeah. Okay, so number 4, add and subtract decimals. Estimate each sum using the ideas close to 0, 1/2, or 1, and then simplify each expression. Okay, so 1/2, 0, or 1. Well, this is 0.30, right? That's closest to that. And then this one is 1.00, right? We're just simply just rounding, right? Add it, you get 1.30, right? The actual is this. So that's good. I'm glad you found the actual. So when you found the actual, was the estimate pretty close? This is the estimate, by the way. It's pretty close, right? Okay, so let's do that again. Did you find the actual on B? Oh, you did. Actual, right? So when you estimate this, 0.06, I could say that's 0.05, right? Plus 0.10. So when I add it together, I get a 1 or 0.15. And since this is your actual, oh, I'm not adding, sorry, you're subtracting, just kidding. If you're subtracting, it will be 0.05, right? And if you look at this, that's actually pretty close right there, right? You got 0.047, right? Because this is just an estimate. Okay, and the way I subtracted this, if you look at it, is this is a 10, right? What's 10 minus 5? Because this will become a 0, that'll become a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. You drop down the 0, so it's 0.05, right? And that's your estimate, okay? Over here, so your actual is negative 5.95, I think. Okay. So when I look at this negative minus, this is gonna be, it's an add, but your answer is gonna be a negative, okay? So negative 2.89, negative 3.07, you're gonna be adding them, right? So that's gonna be a 6, 9, 5, negative 5.95, or 6, right? This is the actual. So then when you go ahead and estimate this, the estimating is this will just be 3.00 minus, you could just do 3, right? Because 2.89 is very close to 3, which is negative 6.00. So this right here is the estimate. That's the actual. And do you see how they're pretty close? Okay. All right, let's do one more. So for this one here, let's do the actual right here. Actual. I always like to start off, well, looking at the sign. So that's a positive, that's a negative, right? So that means I need to subtract, right? And since 4 is a bigger, my answer is going to be a positive answer, right? So I always start off, since I'm going to subtract, make sure you put the bigger number on top. So 4.26 and then 2.921. That's a positive, that's a negative. You know you're going to subtract. Put in the zeros right here. So when we subtract this, you have to borrow. That becomes a 5. That becomes a 9. 5 minus 2 is a 3. Borrow. That becomes a 3. That becomes a 12. That becomes a 3. 12 minus 9 is a 3. 3 minus 2 is going to give you a 1. And remember, your answer is positive, right? This is your actual answer, okay? So then when we do the estimation here, the estimate is 4.26. You can estimate that to a 4.3 if you want, or you could just do 4.00, okay? And then 2.921 is going to be a negative 3, right? 4 minus 3 is a 1. Okay, so this is an estimate. If you look at it, still again, pretty close, 1.3939 versus 1, that's still very close. Do you see that? Okay.